All right, guys. So we are live with Sam Jones from Tennis Express. Sam, I've been watching you on the Tennis Channel for a long time. You're famous. You're out there. I'll be watching. I'll be watching one of the big matches, and all of a sudden there'll be a commercial come on, and there you are. And you're gonna help people win the holiday shopping game tonight, which I think is going to be pretty cool. It's always kind of been something that I've wondered about too, is kind of like, what is a good deal, what isn't a good deal, the ins and outs of like the whole game of shopping. And what do they call that when you move the, what is that, what I'm talking about, when you got the cones and you're trying to find the puck.
Oh
So,
man, I don't know.
anyway,
You stumped me.
you've seen the game though, right? You know what I'm
Uh,
talking about? You don't even know what I'm talking about.
I don't think so.
You've never seen the shell game where they've got like, and you're trying to
Oh
figure out
yeah,
where
yeah,
the
yeah.
shell
I've seen
is.
that. Yeah. The
Yeah.
shell game. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the shell game. So we want to win the shell game of shopping for the holidays.
Right.
But anyway, so how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm excited about this time of year. Working in retail is always like, it's kind of a sprint now. We're getting, I feel like post US Open, the US Open ends and the champions are crowned, and then
Hmm.
I blink and I feel like we're in November, just
Yeah.
so fast. Which is great because it's, big shopping season and people are looking for gifts and trying to find, maybe a little something for themselves also, to kind of keep the fire, reignite the fire, kind of keep that motivation, to start 2026 off on the courts and having a good time.
Hmm. Mark, it's the shell game. I couldn't come up with that. I hate when you're trying to make a good point and then you can't make the actual point. That's what
I
happened
should
to me.
have got it with this
I,
though,
s- I,
the
s-
wax on, wax off. That was the
I started out super confusing, but well, so I was shocked just today. I had to set some appointment for next week, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's one day before Thanksgiving." I'm like, like you said, it comes up so fast. So the big, the first biggie for everybody out there who wants to get deals is Black Friday, right?
mhm.
So, um, how do you know? What do you look for when you come to like Tennis Express? Let's just stick with tennis night. That's what you know well.
Mhm.
What do you look for and know that you're getting a good deal versus something that's always there? What are some of the best buys usually? What are some of the things that these yourself, Tennis Express, really can't give a great deal on for different reasons?
Right. So one of the things we deal with, is like, just like an Apple computer or an iPhone or whatever. The brands, they kind of set that price. Um, in general, that's the way it is on freshly launched or newly released things. Like they're going to be what they cost. So there's not really deals to make or discounts to be had. Usually around the holidays, not just Black Friday, but around the holidays, we get some kind of temporary markdowns where maybe we can, for a couple of weeks we can have 10 to 15% off. One of the big things about Black Friday, and one of the reasons why it really tends to move a lot of rackets, is that you start to get to the end of a product cycle. So, for example, let's say 3 years ago you buy an iPhone 14 or an iPhone. I don't even know what we're up to now.
I think they're up to 17 or something like
Okay,
that.
okay, so iPhone 13's top of the line. 4 or 5 years ago now, maybe because I'm dating myself a little bit, but there's not really going to be a lot of deals to be had on the iPhone 13 when it has just come out. But
Hmm.
as iPhone 14 launches and iPhone 15, and like you said, all the way up to 17, there's probably deals to be had on what's still a good product and a useful product and an effective product, just maybe not the brand new, bell of the ball. So that's kind of the big thing to look for, is if you're somebody that wants the latest greatest thing like all the time. Obviously, like at Tennis Express, we can help you out. if you're somebody that has a favorite racket from a season or two ago and you're looking to maybe buy a couple at a discount, that's where some of these racket sales can really help you out and save you some cash as well.
Yeah, very cool. We have Mark on, and he has just been so awesome during TennisCon. He actually finished as one of the top winners in our trivia game the other day. And he says he's got some uh, Viper 12s with good discount at Tennis Express. And by the way, guys, maybe he did our TennisCon. If you've been getting the emails in the last week or so, and especially in the last couple of days, this website right here, which is basically tennisexpress.com/pages, tennis-con. You come here, you can get up to 25% off, and it's mostly on, I think, apparel, right? We've got apparel, shoes, bags. Yeah, so if you want to freshen up your look here and put some cool gifts under the tree for yourself and for your family and friends and teammates, then definitely go to this site right here. Again, it's right here. It's tennisexpress.com/pages, tennis-con.
Good
And you
call,
have
Mark,
it.
on the Vapor 12. That's a great
Yeah.
shoe.
Yeah.
Vapor 12 is a great shoe.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a racket that you say it's kind of better, is there the end of the year is a good opportunity because they're getting ready to release the new rackets, which people are excited about. Some people just believe in, I want new. I don't want the older models. But what are some of your favorite older model rackets, or they're pretty much still new, but they're coming out with new rackets next year that are going to be at a great price, that people might want to pick up, that you think are just really good rackets for club players, especially that 3-5-4-0 player who's really come along with their strokes. They're getting pretty decent strokes, but maybe they still could have the racket help them with some extra pop on the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first thing is you know, new is not necessarily what just came out yesterday, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I think obviously if you've last bought a racket 25 years ago, buying a current racket is going to be a tremendous upgrade, technology wise. Your experience is going to be more enjoyable. There's probably a pretty significant weight difference as well, just to make the game a little bit easier. What I will say is if you're somebody, I spoke on it a few seconds ago. So in 2024, we had Head Boom, which is like kind of the Coco Golf endorsed racket. It's a little bit more powerful, but also comfortable. And then more on the control side of things, they have the Babolat Pure Strike. It's the white racket, basically the white Babolat racket. A little bit more on the control side, and then we also have another head model, actually the head speed line, which is kind of an all around kind of, I'd say, best of both worlds. Those models, they came out in 2024, which means they've been out here for a year and a pretty good bit of change. So if you're somebody that's been out of the game or out of the racket game for a while, and you're getting sticker shock on some of the upper echelon, like brand new, released in the last couple of months stuff, some of these deals that you can find on, a season ago or 2 seasons ago are going to be pretty salty. And a great way to get a little bit more bang for your buck. The trade-off, of course, is maybe not like the, hottest iPhone 17, to use our metaphor, but still very effective, functional, and solid. In a lot of cases, still technologically very, very more than relevant products.
So yeah, I'm looking at. I feel really bad about myself. I haven't really heard of the Head Boom, and that's Coco's racket, but it got me excited. So I'm looking at here now, and that the Head Boom goes usually for $289, and now it's at $199. And that's a pretty good deal at this point. I don't know, so I'm asking you. Like, that's a pretty good deal at this point.
We've seen the prices on rackets really It's gone up just with, in general inflation, and it's not something anybody really likes. And so now I feel like when you start to see, premium, new rackets never been played with before under $200, I feel like that's a lot of quality for not, not having to go well into the 250s
Mm-hmm.
or even 300 range. So I think I think you I think this time of year, on deals like this, you're getting a lot of racket for your dollar. Um, and so, yeah, another thing, Pete, we haven't really spoke on is, if you are shopping for a tennis player and maybe you're trying to motivate him to get back into the court. You kind of got to consider who you're buying for. Somebody might just be looking for a racket, that just wants to play recreationally, and we've got pre-strung models for that as well, at an even more affordable price point. But yeah, I think, the ones that we mentioned, like the head booms, there's different kind of models, based on kind of skill level, and if you want a heavier model like a Boom Pro, or if you want something a little bit more in the middle, which would be like a Boom MP, all the way down to something lighter like a Boom Team or a Boom MPL. Most of the brands now, guys, they basically have a group of rackets that looks very similar to one another. And if you look real close at the frame, the weight will be, 0.2 of an ounce different, or the head size might be a little bigger. But in general, you can kind of find the racket style that you're wanting, and then you can kind of go to the weight that you're going to be most comfortable with.
Mm-hmm. Mark is really doing some research for us, and he said that now 199 on the 24 speed Pro, the new model's 309. So
Yeah,
that kind of shows if you're willing to, get something that is within the last year or so, you're going to pay less, especially around maybe the holidays as new stuff comes out. What are some of the, I know there's always rackets that it seems like people are most passionate about, that they will really like. It doesn't matter. I can remember the pro staff, right? The pro staff, Sampras's pro staff, people would buy that for years and years and years. They'd search all over the internet to find them and find good deals. If they found somebody that sold them, they would buy 10 of them, like, because they're always afraid of when is the last Pete Sampras
right.
racket going to go out. So what are the rackets today that if people are in the market for a new racket, what are some of the ones that are, within the last 5 years, decade, what are the ones that people come back to over and over again where you're like, this is a good racket because everybody always wants these. It doesn't matter if they're a couple years old or not. What are people hunting for all the time?
Okay, fair enough. Pro staff, pro staff is still around. It is not the name that it once was, just because
Mm-hmm.
rackets have gotten,
Oh yeah.
you know what I'm talking about, just a little easier to use. And
Yeah.
the pro staff was one of those that was kind of known for being, pretty traditional, for very advanced high level players. I'd say right now it kind of starts with Babolat Pure Aero.
Yeah.
Nadal kind of made the racket famous. Alcaraz now with the slightly smaller head size version of the Aero, but they're great all around rackets. I think a huge strength on a line like the Pure Aero line, Pete, is that you can pick it up and enjoy it if you're a accomplished, pretty decent 3.5. You can play world class tennis with it too. I mean, it's sort of it can be in your bag kind of regardless of your skill level, I'd almost say, and
Okay.
people can enjoy to play and not feel like, oh well, I started with this racket, now I need something, for much better players. Like the Aero can kind of be on that ride with you, and I think
Yes.
that's one of the things that's made it so accessible. Pete, another thing about the Aero line, and I mentioned it earlier, but they've got 4 or 5 different weight variations on it. So if you're somebody that likes the arrow or is drawn to that line, but maybe the regular one's a little bit too heavy, you can always find one in a little bit of a lighter model. So yeah, Pure Arrow, and then another one from Babolat, Pure Drive. Babolat just refreshed that line in January. Just kind of, not as focused on the spin, but just easy power. If you've got a shorter backswing or a longer backswing, it seems like players of all shapes and sizes can kind of pick up that racket and enjoy playing with it and be confident with it. So yeah, I think that's two right there, that generation in, generation out, people are they're always basically trying to grab up arrows, even if it's the previous model or maybe even 2 generations ago.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about, and it's Rafa, right? I think it's kind of cool. We have it up here right now. I think it's kind of cool, the Rafa racket, because Rafa looks so cool playing, and then this racket has looked like this for the longest time, but it came out just looking modern. I don't ever picture looking at this racket going, that looks dated. Like Pete Sampras racket, right, that I picked out. I mean, that's extremely dated racket. Now it looks dated. It looks like, oh yeah, people used to play with rackets like that. I'm gonna feel really bad if there's a day where I look at a Babolat racket, I go, oh my gosh, like, can you believe people played with this thing? Like, it just still looks so modern to me and so cool. And it's just kept that coolness through the years. That's why they don't really change the design that much, huh? They know they got a winner.
Well, I think you hit on something, too, like the gap. The game used to be, Pete Sampras's racket is 13 point something ounces strung. The head size is 85 square inches. And I think we all sort of were like, well, you have to be, basically top 3 player in the world to consider using this model. And I think now what we've seen, even from elite level tennis players, is they've sort of gone and said, you know what, like the Alcarazes and some of these guys are using easier to play with models, and they're able to succeed at the highest level than for us recreational players out there. Like, why am I maybe still trying to use a racket that could be too heavy or that could have too thin of a beam? Like, if the best of the best are kind of looking for the answers to the test, I feel like more and more, I think it makes sense for us recreational players to be like, hey, we could maybe make this a little easier on ourselves too. Maybe trying to go to something that's just a little bit more user friendly.
Yeah. Now I have a question for you. We were talking earlier today, and you said something really interesting. I don't know if I'm going to be able to word it the way you were wording it, but I was like, wow, this is really interesting, because you said that there's a lot of smart shoppers online for rackets and apparel and all that kind of stuff. But you said something in the effect like sometimes they outsmart themselves. Like they think that they're playing the game right to get a good deal, but they end up not getting as good a deal or what they wanted. Do you remember that conversation we had today? And can you explain kind of what you were telling me? I thought that was interesting.
So I think the big thing that everybody out there, and this, like, you want to feel like you're kind of getting something that no one else is getting, or you're kind of getting a deal. For players out there that let's just take, for example, let's say you have a racket that you really like, and it's the 2024 Head Speed Pro, like Mark brought up. If that's your holy grail of a racket, and you really you're tied to it and you enjoy the racket, you've played with it for a little while, once we get to like the end of the year, like that racket is not coming back, right? So like when it's sort of the when they're gone kind of thing. And so sometimes customers think, well, oh, okay, like 2024 speed, like this racket is at this cost, well, it's only gonna come down. Well, that may be true, but they also might be gone, like and there's not like more coming. That's kind of what I was getting at, is like sometimes you bet, oh well, the price is going to come down 30 or 40 more dollars, and then that's when I'll cash in and get my racket deal. But if it's closer to the end of life or the next generation coming out, you might be left out in the cold because you're looking for a better deal, and those models are all, they're all taken. And so,
You mean
um,
that the racket companies don't make any more at all ever again 2024 models of something, and that the inventory would just literally sell out, and sometimes you just can't find one online? Is that what you mean by you wait too long? They're completely gone.
right. I mean, you see people find rackets sometimes used, but if, like I
So the
said,
only way to get them is when they're used, and like,
right. And so
okay.
if you're somebody that really has a racket, let's say you've got two in your bag and you really love the rackets, but one of them's kind of beat up, or the head guard that you've been dragging on the ground on your serve or whatever is scraped up, it's a great opportunity to get another one, or get, even two more, and maybe you just put a couple in the closet, and then you've got your favorite racket for, a rainy day you want to bring out a new one. But yeah, once that previous generation, once that inventory is gone, they're not coming back. Now you'll get the next version 2026 or whatever, but
Hmm.
if you know what you want, like I would urge, price has dropped, upwards 40-50% off, it's probably a good time to strike.
Okay. Okay, very interesting. So let's move now, and we can come back to rackets, but let's move to apparel. If I'm looking to go shopping for somebody, let's say I want to shop for my girlfriend, my some of my favorite students, like, what am I going to get the best deals at? Is it going to be buying them a shirt, buying them shoes, like, where do you get the best deals to where if you're a little on the cheaper side, you're like, yeah, this is really a great discount? What can companies and then retailers like yourself really kind of sweeten the pot for us during sales times and holidays?
So the first things first, not everybody that's shopping is going to be able to go to the price range of a new racket, even with deep discounts. You might have, I always joke with my brother, like, well, he might not love me that much, to get
Hmm.
me a gift that's more expensive. But for tennis players, there's a lot of what I would sort of call like perishable items too, like sets of string or over grips, or even cans or cases of tennis
Mm.
balls. Like, those are three things that you absolutely have to play tennis, right? Like, you got
Yeah.
to have strings, you got to have tennis balls, and you got to be able to hold your racket. And all of those items are kind of stocking stuffer variety. You've got some sets of strings that are $20 plus. Maybe you get up to the $45-50 range for natural gut, but most sets of string these days are under $20. Most replacement grips are under $10. Most over grips, you can get a 3-pack for $7 or $8. So those are great options for tennis players who always kind of need that stuff.
Hmm.
It's not maybe the most romanticized about, but if you're a tennis player and you get over grips for Christmas, I guarantee you end up using them. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, I
Uh,
did a Cincinnati clinic. Mark got one, and I I bought a bunch of grips, and I thought, I mean, who's turning down a grip? How many
right.
times you've been on the court and you're just like, oh, does anybody have a grip on the court? Like, grips are one of those things that you
Yeah.
can just never have enough grip, right?
Right. Another category too, Pete, that it's not talked about, but like it even crosses over away from tennis, is like hats. Like
Hmm.
you could wear a tennis hat, you could wear it running, you could wear it to the gym. Like, there's wristbands, accessories. There's all sorts of, I guess I'd say smaller potatoes in a sense, like options for those that don't have just an unlimited budget to shop for that tennis player on their list. I'm with you. I don't think I've ever turned away a free grip, or if anybody's
Hmm.
ever given me
No.
even sets of string. And then for that for that player in your family, a lot of this stuff is, um, uh, you might have to do some homework, right? Like you might have to say, okay, well, Pete, he looks like, oh, that's a 4 3/8 grip size, on his racket, or there might need to be some sleuthing too. It is kind of hard if you're going cold turkey and you don't know anything about somebody to just kind of go, I'm going to get them a racket,
Yeah. Yeah.
with no real, maybe if you're maybe if they've talked about getting back into tennis and they don't have anything, you could start them with that.
Yeah.
Good call,
Yeah.
Kay. Case of balls. It's always on my list too.
Yeah, I want to talk
Um,
about balls in a second, but we do
yeah.
have one question. So somebody asked, when will you have a string sale? Buy two get one free. Lexilon, Solinko. Like, are there any good string sales either going on now on Tennis Express or coming up soon that I know you can't spill the tea too much on Black Friday. It's got to be a little mysterious, but as much as you can tell us tonight, we want to know. We want the inside scoop.
Well, the thing I can tell you is on string specials is stay tuned. There's strings. I feel like strings probably there's promos throughout the year. There's promos throughout the year on strings, and it might just be finding the right one to jump on. Um, uh, string sets are probably. I'd say string sets are probably a little easier to deal with. String reels, I guess, can work if you're a home stringer, or if like string if you know exactly the kind of string that you're going to be playing. The string reels can work, but yeah, I'm sorry, Pete, I can't open the hatch and tell you what's going to be unveiled on Black Friday.
Okay. All right. Well, how about this? Because I see, I know so much about coaching tennis, but I am really not a techie. What is a good string deal? What are some of the, like this person said 2 for 1? Like, is that a thing? A certain dollar amount off of strings? Like, what are you like? If you see this deal, which does happen, I don't want a unicorn that never happens, but like the kind of deals like that's a good deal right there on strings. You don't have to even pick a certain string. You could just say, hey, if you get this amount of dollars off, that's good. This percent off. Like, what are the typical deals that people run on strings that like that's a good deal? You should jump on that.
You'll see promos from time to time that the chat room is right. You'll buy two get one free.
Okay.
That's common. Like a set of RPM Blast or Luxilon ALU Power, which I would categorize as very premium high end strings. They retail around $21. And so if you see those at $14.99 or $15, like that's pretty decent savings there. But obviously, if you're somebody who strings at home, those buy two get one frees are a really good, a really good way to get your discount up. My trouble is I'm always wanting to try new strings, and so I would commit to, I'm going to get a reel of ALU Power, and then oh, I want to try this other string. Now I've got a
Mm-hmm.
reel of
Mm-hmm.
string that I've just bought. So
Mm-hmm.
some of it is that I think customers should know, with strings too. There are very quality strings that are not all $21, $22 a set. There's really solid options at $9, $10 a set, really good options at $13, $14 a set. And it's all the kind of the players that folks know, Head, Babolat, Solinko, Yonex, all the brands now kind of have something pretty solid, even at a non-super premium price point. So there's a lot of really, really good strings out there that I'd say under the $15, threshold that are really quality products.
Okay. We got one more string thing before I myself personally want to talk about tennis balls. But Mark is like, you gotta, when Mark is asking questions, you have to respect it because he's a real tennis lover. So how
Yeah,
about strings? Yeah.
Mark wants a discount on one of the most expensive strings in the world. Um,
so tell everybody what is that string and what does it typically cost and
so
what should he look for?
NRG2 is made by Technofiber, and they are actually the company that came up with the first multi-filament string. And a little known fact, multi-filament strings are actually the most expensive strings to make because the process isn't just, turn it on, turn it off, and it's done. It's a lot more intensive and quality control and all that stuff. So it's one of the reasons why some of those Technofiber multi-filament strings are quite expensive, is because it's a great product and it's not necessarily cheap to make. But it's NRG2 is a world-class string. Very, very arm friendly for those out there that have struggled with any, tennis elbow or wrist tendonitis. It's a super comfortable string. Yeah, one of the best.
And what does typically a reel of that cost?
Yeah,
about. Did I stump you?
I would say over $200.
What?
I don't have it in front of me. Yeah.
Oh my God. I thought you were gonna say I thought on the expensive side, I thought you were gonna say like $80, $200. That's crazy.
Yeah,
How long, let's say you're somebody who broke a string once every 2 weeks. How long is a reel going to last you?
Yeah, 40 feet, 40 feet per racket, usually 660 feet per reel. So what is that? 15, 16, 17 rackets, depending on your string pattern.
Okay. Okay. That's good to know. I did not know that. I do not know a lot of this stuff. All right. So here's what I want to get to this. Kay talked about, a case of balls. This has been one of the most thorn in my side things as a coach I've had, because I buy all my own stuff. I work at a club where people buy the balls. I mean, so I know that tennis balls have really been painful, especially buying cases of balls. Where are they at right now? Are there going to be any deals on balls at Tennis Express soon? And are balls going to be going up higher in 2026, stay the same, or go lower in your opinion? Or do you have no idea, or you just can't tell us?
Yeah, as far as the pricing things, like I'm not setting prices on balls. You'd have to talk to tennis ball manufacturers.
But you have a feel of it, you see what's happening. Do you have a feel of tennis balls? Are they just going to be this high forever? Or?
Yeah, I mean, tennis balls have gone up. I mean, so have cars. So have, tennis balls are another thing that there's not. They're not cheap to make either, and so it's not like there's tons and tons of markup on tennis balls.
Really?
And I'm being completely honest with you. I think the one thing that people don't know so much about tennis balls is that everybody knows, Wilson US Open, and it's a premium ball played at the US Open, but there's a lot of really good balls that are not necessarily at that price tier, right? Like there's a Wilson Championship ball, there's a Dunlop Grand Prix ball, a head pin tour ball. Like it sort of begs the question, like, what level am I at that I think I can only tolerate Wilson US Open, $120 something a case. There's a lot of really good tennis balls for recreational play out there that, Pete, you and I aren't going to notice the difference. And it's going to save some money too.
All right, so I'm looking at. Okay, so just here on the site, I see the U.S. Open balls, $119 a case. The Penn 84. So Penn seems to have the best deal that I'm seeing so far. There's 119, 99, 104. I'm not seeing anything beat Penn. If I scroll, am I gonna see anything beat Penn?
You might
what's
find
this,
some.
What's this 54? There's pink balls. Are the pink balls gonna play if I played a match with these pink balls for 54 a case? I might order these. The pink balls.
I'm seeing 84 there, 84.99.
What? The Wilson
on the case of pinballs?
No, 84 was the 84 is the lowest, but what I'm saying is now I've come down and I've scrolled down to pink Wilson balls, $54 for a 12 pack though. So that's
Yeah,
lower.
that's 12
So
cans. So
that's
that's
12. So
different.
that's actually not cheap. No, that's not.
Right, right.
I was getting so excited. So you're not
The pink
beating 80 for a case,
the
basically.
pink balls are funny. The a lot of clubs use the pink balls for like cancer fundraiser tournaments and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, there's oddly a market. You might find like there's occasionally like a practice ball. You'll see the term practice like on some of the Wilson cans, and usually the ball's pretty good. It's good
I like those.
for like teaching baskets. You know,
I
there
do
might
that.
be some weird logos, or there might be a weird odd scene here or there, but for what you're paying for, they're certainly good enough for a teaching basket, or even for a ball machine, that you're going to have to replace pretty often anyway.
I'm seeing the Dunlop. And I like Dunlop balls. What do you know about this Dunlop ATP Championship regular duty tennis case, 79.95. So to me, we have a new winner as far as pricing. We're just going price. What about the Dunlop ATP? I like Dunlop balls. I like the way they feel.
Yeah, so the ATP, Dunlop is the official partner of the ATP Tour now, so they're going to have that ATP designation on on their um, on their product. The naming's a little hard to wrap your head around, but basically the ATP Tour is a really like kind of their, I don't know what you'd call it, like highest end ball. And then that ATP Championship is sort of that mid tier, and then of course you've got the Grand Prix, which I feel like have had such a following for so long. Again in teaching baskets, so that coaches can make the teaching basket last a little bit longer.
So if I buy a case of tennis balls for 84 or 79, that seems like the best price we're going to get. How many cans come in a case?
Generally speaking, it's 24 cans of 3 balls a can in a case.
Okay,
You
24.
might find some funny math. They'll do. I think Wilson does some 4-ball can cases of the U.S. Open, and it's usually the same total number of balls. Just some people like to. That's actually a good question. I'm curious about the people in the chat if they had a choice, if they'd rather have a 4-ball can, or if they're fine with just a 3-ball can. If if there's a preference there. I think I just always grew up and it was 3 to a can, so I got used to it. But I was
Mm-hmm.
curious about what people think.
Yeah. Now we look at these prices on balls. I know you can't give stuff away, but if you were on the call tonight, would it be worth to come back to this page on Black Friday? Could prices be different, or is this about what tennis balls can do? Because, like you said, there's not really much markup on a ball.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know. I don't have anything
Okay.
for you.
Okay. I got nothing on that. I'm trying, guys, to get the goods. All right. Well, let's move on to apparel. We know to me, like I'll say this, I go to the Nike outlet store and I'm like, I don't see any deals even at the Nike outlet store. I think Under Armour, people actually ask, am I sponsored by Under Armour? Like, no, it's just like everything. When you go to the Under Armour outlet store, you can get a baller looking shoe for $40. Like, it's crazy. So like when I'm looking at Nike, Adidas, these main ones, out of the main ones, who do you notice? I know you can't play favorites, but who do you notice might have good discounts out of the main names that we know? And then when it comes to some other apparels, like we don't really think about, well, Coco's kind of put New Balance now on the, in the game, but New Balance used to kind of be not near on the level of like a Nike. And then we got Wilson, K-Swiss, Penguin. I've never even heard of that. Asics, Boss, like Diadora.
So the
Where would
thing
you tell people to look for some nice clothes that you're like, they get you some good deals? Lucky in Love.
the thing with apparel, I'll say, and it's kind of a common sense thing, the biggest, deepest discounts are going to be with the big names, right? And it kind of just has to do with what they can make. You know, Nike is a huge international company now, and so even though tennis is not like the majority of their business, they're doing, you know, 4 or 5 different colorways of the same shorts or of the same shirt every year, and so you're gonna find, you know, your size even a month or two after release at 20% off,
Mm,
25% off. I think right now there's discounts on the fall Nike collection that was unveiled, during the US Open, which again is not really that long ago.
yeah.
And so the big brands like Nike and Adidas, they are from an inventory standpoint, like they stand to gain and customers stand to gain kind of following those brands just because there's going to be more inventory on those markdowns. Now, not to slam any of the smaller brands, but it's just the sizing and stuff gets a lot more scrappy. We might have extra small in some stuff, but it might be a little bit you know choppier. Good question about new apparel released. So generally, you get 4 collections a year. You get kind of spring, summer, fall, and then kind of winter slash holiday. And so that's kind of the 4 main segments. I wanted to speak a little bit, if I could, Pete, on kind of the smaller brands too.
Mm-hmm.
Just about every brand now has like a pretty good basis of dry fit, wicking technology, that sort of thing. And so just because something is not Nike or is not Adidas, it doesn't mean that, it doesn't have a lot of function and performance
Mm-hmm.
characteristics.
Okay, good. Yeah. So you're saying that, look for those major tournaments and you have the pros, they all come out and wear them for those couple weeks and maybe a tournament or two before for the warm up. And what is it like? Maybe 3 or 4 weeks after is when a Nike or Adidas might start thinking about dropping the prices to get rid of the inventory kind of thing. Would you say that's about right?
I always try to think of it like this. If right now we are in winter or, excuse me, like holiday. So
Mm-hmm.
like the previous season would be fall, right? So there's discounts. So kind of once you're out of what that season was and there's a
I
new
see.
thing, it's
Right.
sort of just some math you can kind of work backwards and find, you know, your best path forward as far as a discount goes. Now, some of the time, the funny thing about this is some of the time, Adidas is one that their designs can be really off the wall, and so maybe during the actual tournament, you're so into how it looks, and oh my gosh, look at what so and so's wearing, and you're like, oh, but that's too expensive, and then you fast forward to, and then you see it's discounted, and you're kind of like, I'm not as into that
Uh-huh.
as I thought I was. So,
Right.
um, so yeah, it's kind of funny. Sometimes the apparel brands sort of take some swings and they hit, but they also miss sometimes too.
I remember there was one year, and he's one of my favorite players, Grigor Dimitrov. They had him in maybe one of the worst outfits of all time. It was like this crazy yellow and like splotchy stuff. Like,
Yeah.
does anybody remember that one? That was I thought that was one of the worst. Yeah, but
The one thing too, Pete, is I've never been like a real apparel guru, but as you see the higher prices in some of these apparel garments, um, I feel like we're all kind of used to a $40 or a $50 polo or tennis top or whatever, dry fit. But you start to go up in prices on some of this stuff, and you get close to that 75 or $80 range on shirts. I'm amazed at how high end some of these fabrics are. And like, I have a shirt from Asics right now, and I put it on, and it's like, it's so light and it's so thin. And I've never been one to, really try to tell apart, kind of a different apparel segment, but it's crazy just how the garment itself is like, it's just so much less fabric. Like, it's very light and airy. And then, like a more $35 sort of what I'd call like maybe a football coach polo or something is still really comfortable, but it is different. Like, it's
you're going to notice the
apples to
difference.
apples.
Yeah. Like, I'm looking at Penguin right now, which I've never heard of, and those prices are pretty good. Like, you can get some shirts for $39, and yeah, they've got some good deals on there. But I've never heard of the Penguin.
I feel like Penguin's been in department stores before. So yeah, that's a brand. Young American Mac, or maybe not so young anymore. Mackie McDonald was wearing Penguin for a while.
Oh, okay. So have you guys carried Penguin for a while?
Yeah, for a couple years now.
Okay, I see. Now this is a brand that's really coming up. On is is this the hottest? What's the hottest tennis brand? Is it now On is because of Federer, or is it New Balance because of Coco? I feel like we always know of Nike, but what would you say is like really been the hottest up and comer over the last couple of years?
I think you could say On has been the disruptor.
Yeah.
Kind of coming from not really doing any tennis to now being, I feel like, pretty solid presence. I still think it's such a math game where Nike's players, they show up to a Grand Slam and they kind of look like drones. There's just a numbers game that I would still say they're the top dog as far as marketing and volume and so yeah. I'm trying to think of another brand that's On has been good, but I think Ben Shelton has actually been really big for them. Iga Swiatek, of course, has been big. I actually feel like some of their stuff has kind of been pretty tame by what I thought, based on some of the earlier outfits that we've had. Wawrinka did have some rough shirts back in the day.
Yeah. Wawrinka was the word. Yeah, Wawrinka did. And then Kay, which I totally agree with, says Fila line is usually bargain and sale, and it stays in style for years. I mean, Fila just always has that classic look. I like Fila brand. Yeah.
Well, and we've got a lot of deep discounts right now on Fila products. Fila's great because a lot of their stuff from one season to the next, it doesn't necessarily go, oh, I can't wear this anymore. It kind of can stay in your rotation and not really be out of style. So that's a good option out there for people who are kind of looking for, strong basics that'll go with just about anything.
Okay, so a couple of things to wrap up. Number one, guys, this site I'm on is actually the Tennis Con site, or not anymore. I left that, but Tennis Express was nice enough to give us our own discount page where you can get up to 25% and apply a coupon at checkout. So make sure if you're getting my emails, which that's how you're watching me, that you go to that site. I know we've had quite a bit of people actually take advantage of that, so we appreciate it. And then the other thing to finish up on that is, I think one of the things now that gets really confusing for people is the concept of Black Friday, because Black Friday all of a sudden turns into like 2 months, right? From a lot of companies. So with Tennis Express specifically, what is Black Friday defined by Tennis Express this year? Is it Black Friday and then that's over? Is it Black Friday through the weekend? Is it going to start before Black Friday? Does it then move into Cyber Monday? Like, what is the window that people can shop Tennis Express for your deals?
Well, the window is every day, all day.
Right, but
But
with the
as
Black
far as
Friday.
deals, Black Friday through Cyber Monday, so the day after Thanksgiving through that next Monday, those are going to be the best deals. As far as I know. Now, some of the stuff we discussed earlier, some of those racket deals, those are happening now outside of Black Friday.
Right.
Where you're going to see some additional discounts on some really popular rackets is that window. So it's
okay.
It's that what would it be like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, those 4 days now, and those promos will go away. I think once Cyber Monday ends, I don't see many of those brands going, oh, we're going to keep it at that through the end of the year. So if you see something in that window, odds are it's a temporary promotion.
Yeah. Well, Kay says, so maybe we should just thank Sam because Tennis Express has been a staple. Are you guys the oldest online tennis shop? Or
we're up there. I don't think
you
we're
gotta
the
be.
oldest. Yeah, I don't think we're the oldest, but we're up there for sure.
We're right. I mean, you've certainly been around a minute. And so she says she really appreciates Tennis Express. There are very few brick and mortar tennis shops anymore, even in New York City. Last winter, the Adidas flagship store had no tennis gear. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing about Tennis Express, guys, is even when you go into a sports shop now that used to have a section dedicated towards tennis, now it's sharing it with pickleball, and it's now even seems like it's sharing an even smaller part with the pickleball wall. So it is cool that we have Tennis Express and that they're here for us, and we appreciate, Sam, all your participation of Tennis Con over the years, and we're certainly wishing you guys the best for your holiday sales. So I hope you guys do go support Tennis Express, certainly through the Black Friday and Cyber Monday, but really, at any time you're in the market for something, I want the people because Tennis Express has been so good to me, I want the people top of mind to go to Tennis Express when you do want something, a new racket, new shoes, and you want tennis. We need to all support each other.
For sure. Hey, Pete, thanks for doing Tennis Con again. It was awesome. I love what you do. Your energy for tennis is contagious, and I think all the players out there really benefit from your energy. So thanks for the invite, and looking forward to Tennis Con 10.
Yeah, there we go. I already got great ideas for Tennis Con 10, but I'm excited about it. And Roger, thank you. Very interesting discussion, he says. So we appreciate you guys staying on with us and geeking out on tennis gear and tennis deals. And, we'll see you guys soon. And Sam, good luck on your deals for Black Friday. And I hope you have a great Thanksgiving, happy holidays. And we definitely appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Pete. Cheers.
See you guys.